Where's that reset button?
Hello, welcome to Devil's Advocate. What an amazing time to be a Dragon Ball fan. Not only do we have Dragon Ball Super, but we also have the final episodes of Dragon Ball Z Kai airing, and not to mention the amazing Dragon Ball Z Abridged. And that's not even counting the video games like the Dragon Ball Xenoverse sagas and the upcoming Dragon Ball Z Fighters Z. Wait, is it Z or Fighters? We're truly living in a golden era of Dragon Ball, but growing up as a kid, we didn't have all these options. All we had was whatever was airing on Toonami at the time, and if you watched them there, then chances are you've seen the black sheep of the family, Dragon Ball GT. Though it has a less than positive legacy now, when it initially came out, the reception wasn't quite as bad. We were desperate, and we all sort of just accepted it for what it was. It's also important to note that I don't think most of us realized it wasn't written by the original creator, Akira Toriyama. We were young, and when we got on the internet, we used our time to play RuneScape and look up rumors of Super Saiyan 5 Goku. Not who was writing what. But now that we're older, I think it's time to take a look back at what was once considered a true ending to Dragon Ball. Now, admittingly, it's been a long time since I've seen not only GT, but all of Dragon Ball from start to finish. So, in order to do a fair review and to be able to compare to its predecessors, I'm going to do a complete rewatch of the entire series. Now, what I want to do is quickly and efficiently, I'm going to hop into the hyperbolic time chamber to do a complete year's worth of training in one day. What is there, like 500 episodes? That should take most of the year, right? I'll see you guys in one day.
The next day.
Okay, so, good news. I finished all of Dragon Ball to GT. Bad news. I sort of overestimated how long it would take. There was not a lot to do after that first week. Things got a little weird. Things got a little dark. Anyways, this is Dragon Ball GT.
Step into the grand tour, Dragon Ball GT!
The show begins with Emperor Pilaf making his return after a 10-year hiatus, where he breaks into Kami's lookout to steal Black Star Dragon Balls. After his plans to steal them are stopped by Goku, he accidentally makes a wish in the balls that Goku would be a kid again. The dragon grants the inadvertent wish, and the balls disappear, but not like the usual Dragon Balls. Instead of spreading out to the four corners of Earth, they shoot off into entirely different planets. Goku must then travel across the universe to find the lost balls, but luckily he won't be doing it alone. Joining him on the journey is Trunks and his granddaughter Pan. Now, to give credit where credit's due, I think this is a pretty neat idea for a show. Though personally I could have done without Goku being turned into a kid, this idea does sort of bring Dragon Ball back to its roots, with less emphasis on fighting one big baddie for an entire season, and more on going on kooky adventures. Only this time, in space! Since they were no longer tied to just having to fight every episode, the show could go back to having some more goofy adventures and visiting bizarre and fun places, like a B-movie, or the YMCA, or an Olivia Newton-John music video. It was kind of like fusing the original Dragon Ball with Dragon Ball Z. The season-long fights would eventually return, however, with Baby, Super Android 17, and the Shadow Dragons. However, despite having a unique and interesting storyline, unlike Super, which at this point it's just a movie, a couple tournaments, and Frieza again, this show doesn't quite feel like Dragon Ball. Something was off about this one, and the problems range from extremely apparent to surprisingly subtle. First, let's address the obvious problem. Goku being turned into a kid again. Yes, after 10,000 episodes of Dragon Ball, Goku is being reverted back to when we first met him. I wouldn't mind it if it was just for a season and they ended up wishing him back to an adult, but he ends up staying this way all the way until the end of the show, or whenever he turns to Super Saiyan 4. The problem with this is that since we literally watch Goku grow up from a child to an adult, it sort of cheapens it all to do a reset. Also, while I do love Kid Goku, I don't know how many people would say they prefer him to adult Goku. The second issue is a bit more subtle, but just as important, and that is with the art, or more specifically, the color. You may have never paid much attention to the color in Dragon Ball, but it's always been very important to this series. Dragon Ball has always used colors in a lot of creative ways. Sometimes a color will be used to show off new power, or sometimes color will be used to symbolize a contrast of good and evil. Even when it's not being used for symbolism though, Dragon Ball Z has always put a lot of consideration into what colors were used. It uses a lot of complementing colors like blue and orange, and the colors rely less on hues and more on the base colors, which help them pop out. This made the show feel intense and energetic. On the other hand, GT uses a lot of colors that don't go as well together, like sky blue and hot pink and black and mustard yellow. A lot of mustard yellow, actually. Like so much mustard yellow! It also used a lot of muted and washed out colors, and in general, it gave the show a less exciting feel. One of the few places they put bright colors in was the sky of all places, which made it pretty hard to watch at times, as it drew focus away from the characters by demanding your attention. The oddly colored skies, mixed with the fact that most of the fights take place in destroyed cities, gave the show a sort of dystopian feel, and replaced the adventure feel of the original. The final issue I have is with the music. Now, it's important to note that outside of Super, I've never seen the Japanese dub, so I can only comment on the English dub. Dragon Ball Z has had some truly iconic and memorable music. The music for the English dub, done by Bruce Faulkner, is considered by many to be the best way to experience the show, to the point that it's actually pretty common to find videos of scenes with Bruce's music placed in over versions without it, like the Kai dub. However, after Dragon Ball Z ended, Mark Menzo was brought in to do the soundtrack for all 64 episodes of GT. And how did he do? Well, let's compare some scenes. First, let's compare two of the show's climaxes. Gohan defeating Cell compared to Goku defeating Baby.
Ground control to Major Tom.
You see what I mean? That's completely inappropriate. Okay, next up is maybe my favorite scene in all of Dragon Ball Z. Goku's transformation into Super Saiyan 3.
Things got a little intense there. Scared me. Alright, if you like that, let's see how it stacks up to GT's version of an epic transformation.
Come on, that's not epic transformation music. In fact, if that had Johnny Depp in it, it'd be a cologne commercial. And you know what? Actually, can we play that back real fast?
Bien expected. Bleu de Chanel.
But more than that, the epic scores have just mostly been reduced to just a few simple strums of the guitar. It gives the whole show this grungy feeling. I mean, Dragon Ball Z could be dark, but you never lost that feeling that you were watching an epic adventure unfold before you. However, just by changing the art and the music, a lot of that feeling was lost. And the show just doesn't feel as fun. Hell, even the narrator just sounds sort of bored now.
On the last episode of Dragon Ball GT, General Rildo lay in defeat, but the impending threat of the bone-chilling baby was still a reality.
Now, obviously GT isn't all bad, or I wouldn't be doing this episode. So, let's take a look at what does make this show work. To start with, I really like the new addition to the cast. A lot of the bad guys have proper motivations and backstory, which is admittingly pretty new for Dragon Ball. Baby, for instance, was created by the Truffles, a race destroyed by the Saiyans, and was created in order to exact revenge. He does so by acting like a parasite and affecting other people, most notably Vegeta. The Shadow Dragons are also very creative, each one having their own distinct look and personality. Sin, Haze, Ice, Nova, Rage, Oceanus, and Nachon. Hey, wait a minute. Huh. Neat. The Shadow Dragons appeared as a repercussion of the overuse of the Dragon Balls. Each dragon represented a wish previously made in the balls, and as a whole, it was a nice homage to the entirety of Dragon Ball. And I really like how they gave every dragon their own personality. I mean, they aren't incredibly deep personalities, but they all offer something unique as opposed to just being the bad guy. Nova, for instance, believes in fighting with honor, while his brother Ice will do whatever it takes to win. Omega Shenron, however, really fits in with the rest of the main baddies from Dragon Ball, and he made for a nice final boss. But it's not just the villains that are great. Goku's Super Saiyan 4 transformation is personally my favorite design in the entire series. The color scheme is great, the long hair and the tail, they just look badass. Let me make one thing clear. This is not a transformation. This is a recolor designed to sell toys. This is a transformation. And like I mentioned earlier, the storylines really are pretty creative and definitely fit right into the Dragon Ball universe. Not only did the show bring in new baddies like Baby, but it also brought back classic bad guys like Dr. Gero and Android 17. If nothing else, it's definitely more creative than Super storylines up to now. The last fight against Sin in particular is in my opinion the high point of GT. Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta face off against Sin, who has absorbed all but one of the Dragon Balls, turning himself into the all-powerful Omega Shenron. The fight itself turns into a sort of keepaway between the characters as Goku and Vegeta attempt the fusion dance, and Omega tries to secure the 4-star ball, which is yet another callback dating back to the very beginning of Dragon Ball, as the 4-star ball was the Dragon Ball that Goku has in the very beginning. The fight itself is your standard affair with punches through buildings and final attacks that don't actually matter. But a few things made this fight stand out from the usual song and dance. One being the introduction of Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, the strongest Dragon Ball character created to this point, and debatably still. The second was the Universal Spirit Bomb. This attack draws on the energy of everyone in the universe, and while easily the most powerful attack in all of Dragon Ball, there's more to it than just being a flashy ball of kill. The Universal Spirit Bomb was the ultimate way to end the series, as it called upon the energy of everyone from the history of Dragon Ball. I couldn't think of a better way to end the final fight of the show. After Omega's defeat, Shenron appears one last time, telling the heroes that the Dragon Balls were never meant to be used as often as they were. Because of this, Shenron will be leaving and taking the Dragon Balls with him. Goku decides to leave with Shenron, and we're left with a montage of all the history of Dragon Ball. It's a touching tribute that shows how far we've come from the very first time we met Goku to every adversary he's defeated along the way. If you grew up watching Dragon Ball from start to finish, you'll definitely appreciate this trip down memory lane, and I can only hope a Super ends with something similar. Honestly, I wish I could show the whole thing here, but I've been going on for 15 minutes, and I'm sure you're tired of hearing from me. I'll drop a link down below though if you want to check it out. Without a doubt though, it's a perfect ending to an imperfect show.
So that's Dragon Ball GT. Does it deserve all the hate it gets? Though personally I do enjoy it, and I'll admit, I've never had a huge ambition to rewatch it before doing this review. Though it might not be as good as Z, I can respect it for trying new things, while also feeling like a true ending to it. Had it been canon, I'm not sure if it'd get all the hate that it gets now, but I do understand the criticisms. And maybe being non-canon actually helps its case, as we're able to separate it from the original if we want. It's not perfect, but for what it is, I'm honestly glad we have it. Though it had a pretty rocky start, I think it has a pretty solid ending, and I'm actually curious to see how Super's ending will stack up to it. Until then though, this is Devil's Advocate, and if you're a fan of Dragon Ball GT, then this video is for you.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have an idea for a future episode, drop a comment down below. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, retweet, reblog, repost, upvote, forward to grandma.